All right, well, someone said it's a go, so let's make it a go here at 8 o'clock in the evening, Pacific Daylight Time, the old Tube Radio Network. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to adjust my headphones so that the cable runs behind me, because I've got my nifty, it's definitely summer here in the Central Valley of California. We've been having over 100-degree days, multiple days in a row, which is typically what happens. It hasn't been happening, and I thought I would wear my summer OTR shirt. Not that I don't know my own name, but the name is printed on the front. But these were the shirts that were issued over 30 years ago, when we had our old Tube Radio summer picnics out at Woodward Park. And so I thought, in honor of that summer thing, I would don the old Tube Radio t-shirt. Let me see if I can turn around and still keep the radio keyed. I may not be able to keep the radio keyed, so hold on. I'm going to turn around here so that those watching the video all right, nifty OTR logo lettering that's still sort of holding up after 30 years. I think, who created that? I think it was Lesson D. I think it was Lesson D created those t-shirts. Anyway, the old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark. We will be talking about and listening for and checking in your tube radios coming up after the Direct-to-Net roll call. This is week 8 of our roster, so we'll be grabbing a new 00 after this week, but Mr. Bill has been doing quite nicely checking in. So speaking of checking in, let me refresh the comments here, and we will get everyone checked in. And in about 30 minutes, we'll be talking to all those great tube radios. I don't see Bill online just yet, so I will keep the X on hiatus just at the moment. SWL1, of course, the Cosmic Check-In, probably wearing his old Tube Radio Network t-shirt. And his would say Jim, I think. And maybe Kevin. SWL2, Mr. OBP, is wearing, or looking at wearing, if he can find it, his old Tube Radio Network t-shirts. We got SWL2 checked in, SWL3. I'm not sure if Rob's a net controller. I'm not sure if he had a t-shirt or not. He may have come along after we stopped doing the picnics. SWL4. SWL5. And as I often do, so we don't have to look at me all the time, I'm going to switch over to the S meter on the designated old Tube Radio receiver. Except I have to pick the right camera. And when I do that, you'll be able to give yourself your own signal report. You can tell yourself that you're 9 pounds, good modulation, chestnut and Herndon. SWL6. And if I didn't, let me get SWL5. That's Ida, Mama Rose. I bet she somewhere has an old Tube Radio Network control t-shirt like this. Let's go over to SWL7.
SWL7 checking in. Also have a few others.
Okay, let me get 7 in. 7 is in, and I marked it there. You know what? I'm running out of radio table real estate because there's too much. You can hear me thumping around. There's just too many papers and things up here. I do take notes, but I'm going to have to take this many notes. And I'm going to have to take notes right now. Go ahead with your other check-ins, over.
Okay, I just got a crossband for 27. Number 20, Harvey, he called me. He's getting checked out. I'm not going to be able to make it to the radio. And let's see, there's 50, what was he saying? Oh, I think it was 54, 84, and his girls. Oh, and 29.
Okay, I've got it all there. I will get them at the appropriate time. And Ed, I don't know if you ever got one of these OTR issued T-shirts or not. They came out pretty early, but You would look good in one, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I never got one of those, darn it.
All right, well, pin a post-it to whatever you're wearing. It'll be close. It'll be close. Or put your name on the shirt you've got now. So Ed is checked in. Thanks for listening, and thanks for doing the crossband. I just have no idea when I'm going to be able to get up and work on all that stuff that requires probably all new coax and everything else. So thanks for those who are diligent in. Now I've got headphones that are falling off the table. Diligent in checking in, or trying to keep checked in on the Simplex side. And thanks to Ed for having his receiver tuned up. The Old Tube Radio Network, 270, if I didn't say it, 27085 is where we're at. If you're listening in at oldtuberadio.net and not able to hear the ground wave, tune your receivers to 27085 and wait for the E-skip. Point them towards Central California. That's channel 11. And bring out your tube radios. Talk amongst yourselves wherever you're at on your tube radios tonight with OTR playing in the background. We go up to SWL 11 and 12. Jim and Lisa checking in via email. I think Jim and Lisa did net control a couple of times. We had a lot of net controllers here on the Old Tube Radio Network. SWL 13. And Mike will check in probably at oldtuberadio.net or on the Facebook page, which is a good way to do it. SWL 14. SWL 15. He's wearing his OTR hat. You know, Fred, and I know you probably had a shirt. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to unkey here, and I see the OTR hat. So hold on. I'm going to be right back. Now I gotta put on the headphones again, or maybe not, but I should put on headphones and find the foot switch. SWL 15, that's Desert Rat out in Easton, who just reminded me, let me switch the control room camera back to my ugly mug here. And what Fred was talking about, I think at the same time, or near the same time when we had the picnics, there was also, and here it is, the Old Tube Radio Network hat. I'm not much of a hat guy. Fresno, California, it says channel 11. I don't even know where these came from. And if I could put it on over, it's like 9 sizes too large here. Look at that. It's like Mr. Potato Head. But there it is. There's the Old Tube Radio Network hat. I think what I'll do, where can I put it? That'll fall off. Over there on the Hallicrafters next to Bozo. All right. I'll put it up on the CB3. The CB3A. Thanks, Fred. I forgot all about the hat. Yeah. Speaking about getting old, we have a birthday celebration coming up. Thanks, Fred, for checking in. SWL 16. That hat is 30 years old. I'm 30 years old at least. SWL 17. SWL 17 did net control a time or two, I think. SWL 18. SWL 19. I'm not sure. Harvey might have even taken the reins on a net control. SWL 20. We got you checked in. If you're listening, hello, Harvey. All right, you know what? Let me switch back to the S meter on your Old Tube Network. There we go. Who's next? SWL 21. Speaking of birthdays, and there used to be a birthday jingle. The Old Tube Radio Network jingle singers, they need a hurdy-gurdy or something for that, so they won't be able to do that. But Mr. JT, I think, celebrating yesterday, and for his 39th birthday, I don't know. Whenever he celebrates another year, the ground rod, the world's longest ground rod, he brings out the sledgehammer and pounds it in another inch or two into the soil. The Wasama Swamp, decorated up for Mr. DD21's birthday. Hope you had a good day yesterday. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL22. SWL23. SWL24. SWL25. SWL27, I have a check-in via the crossband. Thanks, Ed, for the 10.5. And thanks, Dwayne, for listening in. I could probably, if I had the HT and the indoor, I think you're close enough, I could probably hear you on the HT. A little rubber ducky antenna. That takes us over to SWL29, Mr. Loner, who also has a check-in. Nobody's there on this one, but SWL31, that's Robert and Teresa out of Hendersonville. I saw them in early, way early, and they are back. Thanks, 31. We've got you checked in. Hope all is well out that way. Let me scroll down, see if all sorts of people talking. You know what? Let me take a moment here and acknowledge. Let me see who's on the big board. Hello to California, Southern California, Fresno, Chesapeake Bay, Maryland. There's our Delaware station. That is, I should check my amateur radio log. I just wonder if I've ever talked to a Delaware station. Rhode Island, Delaware, they're hard to get around here. Somerville, South Carolina, hello to you. Washington, we're waiting for the E-Skip as well with Woodland Park, Colorado. Dallas, Georgia, coming up to you. Fayetteville, good to see you in early, so I'll try and get you checked in. There's Hendersonville, Tennessee. Florence, Kentucky. Sacramento, California, listening on the E-Skip. Go to, if you can, Sacramento, go over to 28300 megahertz and listen for the K6FRC beacon up there. I don't know where it is, if it's on Diablo or not. I bet you can hear it. We can hear it here in the valley. Just barely. I bet you'd be able to hear it up there at 28299 in Sacramento. Wheatley and Elkhart, Indiana. Welcome to the Old Tube Radio Network. Directed net roll call. I need to get going here so we can check in the radios. SWL32. SWL33, myself, Bozo Control, the Jingle Singers, who we haven't heard from yet. I think I will save them for the break between SWL and Tube radios. SWL34. SWL35 is Mr. Bill, also the 00. I wonder what the weather's like in Cheyenne. Summer is 75 degrees there. Should be nice. SWL36. SWL37. SWL38. Shortwave listener 39. SWL40. SWL41. Station go over.
SWL37.
SWL37 jumping into the radio room and strapping on the seatbelt. I think it's a safety thing, and the helmet and all that good stuff, and he is not falling out of the chair, and we've got you checked in. Over.
Definitely. And you know, worst part about it, I was sitting right here listening to you, but I was watching something on TV at the same time, and my brain slipping. Also, I heard you say 39, then going on 40. I said, oh, shoot.
Yeah, I'm on TV too. If you go to oldtuberadio.net, I'm wearing this cool OTR shirt. Well, continue on. Thank you for putting one side of your brain to the radio table and getting checked in while I'm still on page 2 here, and we'll probably catch you a little bit later on.
Absolutely.
SWL40, SWL41, shortwave listener 42, SWL43, SWL44, and I think, let me go over, where am I going? On the video page. Hello to all those out there, 7's out there, 81 is listening in. Brian, the mighty KUH, is saying good evening to OTR. He's in the radio room tonight, and And Mr. Delta Delta X-Ray is checking in from multiple locations. He's checking in. I'll give you 3 check-ins from Utah and Central California. Southern Central, Northern Central, Eastern Central, something like that. Thanks, Ray. He's anonymous but great, or maybe that's ubiquitous. I'm looking for some word here. Here's a guy that probably is listening in somewhere. SWL 45, Paul.
Sounds good tonight, Dennis. 45.
And likewise, I don't hear the skip coming in yet. I know in the morning I've been hearing the beacons and things going on, so we'll see what happens. You're sounding good as always. Hope you and Kelly are enjoying the nice summer weather we got.
Thanks, Dennis.
SWL 46. SWL 47 checked in via email. Not sure where Michael is at, but he said he wouldn't be able to reach the coiled microphonium tonight, so if you're listening, Mike, on the audio stream, or maybe in the future, or is it the past, on the archives, you are checked in. SWL 48. Shortwave listener 49. SWL 50. You know, it's just 2 nights of an evening as the sun goes down and it gets actually nice to be outside to do barbecue or swimming pool or just get outside. So I understand if a lot of people are too far away to keep the microphoniums. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
He's got the XLR cable connected probably to one of the studio microphones heading way outside there where it's nice and cool, but it still sounds good. I don't know if you're running Vox or not, but you're sounding good, Dave. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good evening.
I did that once. I ran a phone patch to myself, and then I could check in on the portable cordless phone. I dialed the other number. This is back way long ago, in the analog. Remember analog phones? And I had the phone patch set up, and I dialed my other phone number and put on the phone patch, and then set the radio. This is when I was doing the FT102. I might have even done a net like that. I don't know. I used to wander around, and you could do it on the telephone through the phone patch, and then go to somewhere that was nicer than the radio room. SWL 52. SWL 53. 53 checking in. Hello to Mr. Bel Air. Bob, you've got... A lot of people have got 8 in a row here. Thanks for checking in tonight.
Thank you. Take care.
Here on the Old Tube Radio Network in Central California on Channel 11, where we'll be talking about the classic tube radios from the inception of the Class D 11-meter service, 1958, to when it was ripping and roaring in 1978, but they decided the tubes weren't the thing, and they went all solid state. But we had a good 20-year run of some classic radios, and you will be hearing from some of those this evening. And that is page 2. Over to page 3. Let me, on the page turn here, see who else is out and about. Bob and Steve, yes, in Ohio. They're pointing the 6-element beam. I wonder what the boom length is on that beam. Probably, I knew you guys have a big, like a 90-foot boom. I don't know how you did it. Homemade ice cream. Oh, yeah. They've been talking about that. It was like, where's the homemade ice cream? So they bring in the homemade ice cream tonight in the green room, the Jingle Singers. No wonder they didn't show up at the beginning of the show. And Albert, 256, Squamish, British Columbia, signing in and listening. I did hear the BC Beacon, MTY, up there on 28-197 this week. Sounding really good on 25 watts or 5 watts, whatever they do up there. So possibilities abound. And we'll be coming up to the rest of you here. Continuing on the Old Tube Radio Network, we've got the SWL 54. Let me light up the 54 beacon here. There it is. SWL 55.
55 checking in.
All right, up there where you can shed a few degrees Probably doesn't make it to 100, but does get warm up there. Thank you, M&M.
Thank you, Dennis.
Under the deodar, is that how it's said? Cedar trees that live bound in his neighborhood, keeping cool. SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and Annette. 56, just because I can.
Because I can. We're glad that you do. And Phil has probably got one of his inventive motorized steam devices turning something, that turns something, that moves something, that lifts something, that drops something, that pokes something, that's turning a fan and keeping him cool. That's the way to do it. Let's try SWL. Nobody there. 58.
Go ahead and proxy in 058. He's out there doing the work thing tonight out in the field.
All right. I did my work thing earlier in the heat, so I know how that is. So we'll get Jeremy with a check-in. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Dennis.
SWL 59. And the gang over at SWL 60.
Hey, Dennis, doggone it. Evening time to all the fellows out there. Let me see if this old antique of mine is warmed up enough. We want to say the DX 2527. Let's check in old Jake's base.
I can do that. That's part of the name on the list here. 291. And a station. Joe at the microphonium. Sounding good, sir. We got everybody checked in.
Oh, great. Thank you.
SWL 61.
61, checking in, Dennis.
Sounding good. I've got the noise blanker in. Noise level. Don't seem to get all the weird crackling and stuff tonight. Dino, we got you in. Thanks.
Thanks, Dennis.
Over to Clovis. And as soon as I start talking about the noise, there comes something. The noise blanker isn't taken out. SWL 62.
Evening time, Dennis. It's been 62, checking in from downtown Clovis. I've got one of those T-shirts around here somewhere. The wife hasn't made a white flag out of it.
You know, sometimes when they get thrown in the box, that can happen. This one's been hanging up in the closet for, well, I said more than 30 years. I don't think there were that many of them around, but if you're a net controller and you came out to we might have given away a few as a prize, too, back over there at Woodward Park when we were doing the things. I remember the old tube radio toss. Lucky Lindy Rex out there in beautiful downtown Clovis, where there's always fun things happening in summer. What's going on? Oh, Friday. You know what they do Friday evenings, and it's happening all through this month and next month, I'm sure, is Bluegrass in the Park. I think there's a park out by the Veterans Memorial Building, and beginning at 6 p.m. on Fridays, they have various bluegrass bands that I think play until the sun goes down. Always good stuff there. Thanks for checking in. SWL 63. I'm looking out for the East Coast stations. I don't see anybody just yet. So we'll hang off on 63. SWL 64. Shortwave listener 65. We do have tube radios coming up. SWL 66. Shortwave listener 67. SWL 68.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, please.
Dennis, can I proxy 65, please? You should have been out here.
Okay. I think last time he got proxied in and he showed up before we signed. Yeah, I can see I've got this big blob on this, probably where I had a proxy, and then I made it an official check-in. So we'll do the same thing. I'll make the proxy check-in really small with the thought that indeed he might come by. The break OTR, go ahead.
This is 65. I had to step away, like, right then for kids, you know.
How does that always work? That's why most times I'm starting at 8:02, because there's something that inevitably happens just as I'm about to jump into the air chair. So I made the proxy check in real tiny. I made the X in the square really big. Got you checked in.
It always happens. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Eminem. I'm out.
It's one of those laws. Like, it's one of those Murphy Law kind of things. Or what's the other one that if you drop something, it's going to roll underneath the table? Oh, man. Who's in? John, the mighty Juliet Whiskey from Iowa listening in. KJG 4755. This is KEO 8492. I looked. I can't find my license. I know it's in a box somewhere. For 1970 or 1971. I don't remember what year. Might have been late in 1970. Who's next? We've got SWL 68. SWL 69.
Let's give Okan a check-in, 800.
Yeah. He's out there doing something. He's probably monitors some frequency somewhere. So why not? All right, thanks. We got Kenny checked in. SWL 70.
Hello, Debs. I'm in the garage with 6 going. Going through about 100 feet of coax. All kinds of crazy connections. Hope it works.
Yeah, it works. The signal is there. The audio was crackly and crunchy, but the signal stayed on. So maybe you're stretching the mic cord more than it should be. But I hear you, and you are checked in. Over. Yeah, just like there's something in the audio being stretched that it doesn't like, but I hear you. Got to run that good stuff like Dave does. Run the 3M XLR cable. 70 is in 71. I'm putting an X in the square. I did see Stan out there right at the beginning of the program here. Where did you go, Stan? There it is, SWL. Brief and to the point. SWL 71 checking in. Mr. Announcer icon from Dallas, Georgia. Listening for any and all radios. Any Pierce Simpsons are gladly accepted over at the 71 QTH. And KB8, hello, another KB. KB8 MSU is saying good evening, everyone. Thanks for checking in. We've got Stan in Georgia. How about SWL 72? SWL 73? SWL 74? Shortwave listener 75? SWL 77. Do I have a note for 77? No.
Buddy's here live. Good evening to all the listeners. 73s and 77 on the Tower Power. Checking in.
All right, I had 7. I had a 27. That's why I remember the 7 here. 77 live and direct. Pushing the S meter to 20 over, and I think maybe another 5 dB on voice peaks. And audio sounding good. I know we've been getting some in and out conditions throughout the morning and the day. Don't hear anything now, but the long path to the tower is sounding good from Midtown. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
Takes us over to SWL 79. SWL 80. Then we go to page 4, SWL 81. And if I go to the video side, I indeed see that Steve Areno is out there checking in early. And he is polishing up and checking the tubes and checking them twice. Who's always checking something twice? Is that Santa Claus? I don't remember. But he's checking them twice for a possible, hopeful tube over-the-air check-in next week. Steve, we got you. We're putting the X in the square this week. That'll be a good way to start off the new 8-week roster period. Steve, I don't know. Do you have a hat or a shirt? OTR, Steve was out there at the picnics. And the old tube radio toss. Let's see, who else have we got? SWL 82.
82 checking in from the Ditch Banks of Iowa.
The Ditch Banks, I hope the Ditch Banks got their water allotment. I have seen the water flowing on the Ditch Bank canals just about everywhere in Fresno. I drove by Leaky Acres. The ponding basins have geese and waterfowl. It's just a good time here in Central California when you have some decent rainfall. So hopefully there is something to throw out the bamboo fishing pole into.
Yep, and the homeless are keeping clean and cool.
Oh, you got that right. Well, what can I say? We all need a drink of water every now and then. Thanks for checking in. Let's try. Oh, you know what? I've got a big list here. SWL 84. We've got to check in for Jerry and the gang, which we'll get to. But first, let me see if we're hearing Reedley tonight. SWL 85. Check-ins for SWL 86, 87, and 88. That is Mount Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl, respectively. Over to SWL 89. I'm checking in. Darren, I saw him on a Facebook post doing something, so we'll get him checked in. SWL 90. Shortwave listener 92. And 73 out there, 92 beaconing in from, is it Madtown, M-A-D? I think if you listen to the airport air beacons or whatever, they have a name that I don't know, but in code it'll be da-da-dit-da-da-dit-dit. M-A-D from Madera. Fresno is fat. Fresno Air Terminal, even though it's now Fresno Yosemite International Airport, but F-A-T, da-da-da-da-da-da. That's if you hear the F-A-T beacon, you're listening to the Fresno Airport. Probably will hear that much more than the Mad beacon. Thanks, Chuck, out there in Madera for checking in. Let's try, and I heard this gentleman earlier. I hope he's still got the radio on. SWL 93.
Yeah, I still got the radio on.
And you are checking in, over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sandbagger 1, checking in.
Sandbagger 1, back to his old tricks. When you've got the blue ribbon, the gold ribbon, whatever color it is for sandbagging, you don't miss a beat. Louis, I've got you checked in, over.
10-4, will be waiting for the rest of it.
And what he means when he says the rest of it are the jingle singers, the glow-in-the-dark tube radios that are coming up shortly, and hopefully your comments and questions and information on these old tube radios that will be parading by your radio speaker tonight. Continuing on page 4, if you're playing the home game, we are looking for Fresno Dave. I saw some pictures of Monterey with the fog and the low clouds. SWL 98.
Checking in, Dennis. Hey, I'll give you a Monterey update. If you're going over there to get away from the heat, don't go. If you're going over to go surfing or go fishing, the Monterey Bay is loaded with killer whites and big and shark and the big blue whales. And it's just loaded because the squid is in. It's very dangerous. You can park right alongside the road and watch the breakwater and look at the 20 or 30 foot sharks out there.
Oh, wow. Okay, I don't frequent much. I know the whale watching. Is it so? Do they put out a flag warning or something if they're seeing sharks? Is that sort of they will warn you saying, please don't do this?
They do. They have a big sign out there. They put up a flag so you don't get in. But anyway, it's fascinating. You used to have to go out in the boat to go see them. They're just right in the breakwater. You just park and watch the breakwater as it breaks right there about, 50 feet off the shore, and they're huge. Killer whales and big great whites.
Interesting. That's because there is something to munch on, right? You said the squid are in?
The squid are in, and the whole bay is loaded with bait. And it's not a time to go out and go fishing either in your little rowboat. Anyway, checking in.
Yeah, it can be a bit daunting. I was at that Boston trip a couple years ago, and we went out way out in the harbor, and there was a lot of whales. And there's still guys out there in little boats, but they were, what were they? They were eating the krill, those little tiny fish and things like that. So squid, they're eating squid. Great update, Dave. So yeah, if you're at Morro Rock, stay off the rock and bring your binoculars and do it that way. And I think at the farther north you go up in the coast, I saw pictures from, what was it, Berkeley this morning, with lots of fog up in the Bay Area. All right, so we have, and I heard this station earlier, and he was sounding really good. So I'm thinking he got the mobile radio working. I don't know if he's out there now, and that's Mr. Cheesy Easy 103. Hello, Jeff 103. Over.
I think I have a problem with my antenna. Yeah, hear me? That's fine, but I can barely hear you. That's home right now.
Okay, I hear you well. Your S9 and maybe a few dB over that. The audio is a bit restricted. So I want to say there's something maybe going on with the audio. And if you're having interference problems, you could be getting some, I don't know if you've got the engine running, you could be having some noise blanker or static issues from who knows what. Fuel pumps are major clicking, creating hash, also older spark plug. Not sure what you're driving, but you might have something like that on the receiver. But the radio is getting out. Over. And we got Jeff 103 checked in. The break OTR, go ahead.
24 checking in.
All right, scrolling up on the page and clicking the 24 button for the entire Universal Media NetWeb. And then over at page 1, if you're playing the home game, you will see that Joseph, Mr. Black Sheep has checked in, and we've got you checked in, sir. Over.
Thanks, sir. Have a good night.
So far, so good. It is. I've neglected on purpose looking at the temperature in the radio rooms. I will do that now. 86. And I realized I have the thermometer system, whatever this thing is, and it's on the unit. There's no temperature probe sitting above some equipment. So, and I just realized this equipment puts out heat. So maybe it's not really 86, but it's probably close to that. There's breezes blowing through the air vents. Directed net roll call. The radios are coming up, so get your tubes warmed up. And for those listening in, we should have some good radios tonight. Where am I going? SWL 109. Shortwave listener 110. And I'm going to call 111, but I see that he is on the board saying that it's a little bit noisy around those parts. So if you're listening, and here's another station that had a birthday recently. Another birthday station. And again, despite his best efforts, has managed to make it through another year in fine style, I think. If you're listening, Robert, I've got you checked in and listening for your comment. Over. All right, not hear anything from. There he is. 14 minutes ago, the top of I just had to refresh the browser. So happy birthday, and we've got you checked in. Robert's a busy guy. He's got 30 more years to go to make up for all the things he needs to do and all the projects he's got going. Where are we at? SWL, here's a guy that might have a OTR shirt or a hat. I don't know. SWL 114.
114 checking in, and I sure don't.
All right, because I know Wayne was hanging out with us all way back in the day when we were doing the OTR picnics. So you're sounding good as always. We got you checked in.
Thank you.
Over to the big board, SWL 128 from Elkhart, Indiana. Oh, so you are the ID up on my list. I saw the Indiana station earlier. That's John Leach checking in, 128. He normally is somewhere out in Virginia, so he's got the large mic cord. He's got the really long mic cord connected tonight. If you're still listening, John Lee, we've got you checked in. Over to, let's go a little closer to home in Clovis for SWL 131. SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133 is checking in.
133 is checking in and sounding good doing it. Hello, Dave. Hope you're staying cool. We got you checked in.
I wish it was. We're 100 degrees in the shack tonight.
Yeah, you got one of those open air-conditioned shacks. And I talked about my cool temperature. I noticed it just went up another degree here, so you're thinking cool. So that's a good thing. And I think the radios probably have fans on them, so that's a good thing. If it's tubes, they don't need fans. Thanks for checking in. And to answer your question, Steve Areno 81 didn't get the hat or the tee. Yeah, I think mainly there was neck controls, and they were made by Les, if I remember correctly, Les and Deezer. They were limited issue. I looked at this one. It's a really nice shirt. It fits. It's obviously, it still fits. And it's from Mervyn's, which isn't around anymore. And I was trying to check to see where it was made. If it was made in USA, it was old enough to be made in USA, but it's a really nice, thick build. I'm not sure how they did the print. They might have did an iron-on. It looked kind of homebrew. So maybe Dee did something. I thought, well, maybe it'd be a way to make them. But I bet I couldn't find a quality T-shirt like this. They're probably under $20 or $30 now. They get things, but it'd be awful. And I'm not sure what it would cost. You know, and the thing, if I make them, I should make them for everybody, right? But you look, like I said, you look good with or without the OTR T-shirt. You can take the Post-it note. It's got my name across the front, so I will not forget who I am tonight. And Steve Arena says he did host that several times. I thought so. There was just back long ago when a lot of us were in and out and doing this and doing that. And I think basically we thought, well, if you've got an old tube radio, you're going to be suspect for us to bring over the book and host the net, or show up at one of the locations. Sometimes we'd have the tag team net controls, and there'd be more than one doing the thing. All right, let me get going here so we can check in some radios. One SWL 135. Do I have a proxy? No, 135. I probably should have a proxy for 135. I'll do that. If Cliff shows up, then I'll unproxy that. SWL 137. Shortwave listener 145.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. I'd just like to say, stay cool, everybody. It's going to be a scorcher tomorrow, 73.
Yeah, we didn't get the big clouds today. They've been having the thunderstorm warnings. It's sort of, I won't call it a monsoon condition like Phoenix gets, but up in the foothills, 3,000, 5,000 feet, it will get some severe thunderstorms that cause flash floods, and we get the emergency alert system going crazy at the radio station, warning everybody to be careful up there. Tony, you're sounding good up there in Coarsegold. And I've got, I can't read my writing. The last three letters in your call, is it CPC Charlie, Papa Charlie?
Charlie, Papa, Charlie, Roger.
Got it. All right. Because I always add, I'm going to redo the list next week, and I always add, if anybody's got a call, I add it into the list. And yours is handwritten in because, of course, I just got it, and then I couldn't read my writing. That's what I thought. All right. Very good, sir. We've got you checked in. And the breaker, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. Go ahead. No response, maybe not for me. SWL 147. Neil was in early tonight. Actually, it's late for him, but it's early for us here on the West Coast. Checking in from Kakalaki. Weather nice, 85 to 90 degrees. That is nice. unless the humidity is 85 to 90, which it might be. Conditions hit or miss, but when they are good, they are very, very good. And they're trying to be good here on 10 and 11 meters. Lots of Midwest and New England. Still nothing from the West Coast. I heard the 10-meter beacon Todd, at 28,425 doing his CQ, and he's in KC4. Where's he? He's in Georgia. That's close. When I can hear Todd at 28,425 barely, then it seems like things are opening up more so than just the West Coast. So Dr. Jazz listening for that elusive 6 land. And he's got a 6 call. So you'll fool them all. You'll be calling CQ with your 6 call, and they'll think it's backscatter or something. Thanks, Neil, for checking in tonight. And we go up to Course Gold, SWL 195.
195, checking in, Dennis. Good evening to you.
Good evening. I hope all is well up there in Course Gold tonight. Your radio is sounding marvelous. I think that's because you're sounding marvelous. Over.
Well, it helps when I talk to the front part of the mic.
That's why I got this huge one that's got the windscreen on the front. It's hard for me to not do it properly. My problem is I keep bumping into the boom arm here, so I will try to be good. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good evening.
Then over to SWL 226. And other stations. Oh, speaking of other stations, I managed to actually look at the right screen, scroll up, and at the very, very top, jumping up and down in the balcony, waving his hand in front of the exit sign up there is X4000 from Brentwood. And I did not see him beaconing in on the usual satellite hop tonight, so maybe that's why he climbed way up into the OTR balcony so that I would see his he's got the little pen light, flashing the pen light. It's a little bit weak. Check those AAA batteries there, X4000, but he is checking in and checked in. Any other station would like to check into the old Tube Radio Network here on the shortwave listener side, or to say hello? Okay, I will jump out for a moment. When I get back, the Jingle Singers and your old tube radios on the old Tube Radio Network. Back in a moment.
All right, everybody, don't talk all at once.
All right, back to the control room, where I will say this is the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. We have been doing this for a long time. 34, 35 years, I have lost count. But in honor of all things summer, you've been listening to the radio, all those great summer songs that we all remember if we were old enough when we were listening to our then new tube radios are making it through the airwaves. So to continue that nostalgia, I went in and found the Old Tube Radio Network shirt from way back when we celebrated summer at the park and did the OTR picnic with the Old Tube Radio Network radio toss and some other items of interest. And we will continue the celebration with your radio check-ins tonight. 27085 if you're just tuning in or listening in, that's channel 11. Continue the celebration with your in Central California tonight. 27085. And the voice from beyond. I don't know where that came from. I have no idea where that came from. We'll find out. But in the meantime, we'll say I've got the tube radio list ready, and I want to fill it in with your radio check-ins. OTR standing by.
Station?
The station, go ahead, over.
SWL, Sandbagger 1.
Hi, Sandbagger 1. I just have to redo my camera. I held up that white piece of paper and it white balanced. Do you have a radio for us, sir? Over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do. It's a Heathkit Citizen Band transceiver, model number GW12.
All right, I'm looking for my Heathkit items here. I just noticed that the receiver had the noise reduction on. So when I made the comment that the noise was less than usual tonight, that's because the noise reduction's on. So I'm going to turn the noise reduction off so that the radios, as they're checking in, will sound the way they're supposed to sound without any digital artifacts happening. And I'm looking for the GW12. For some reason, the image is not where it's supposed to be. So I will slog my way through here trying to get a picture of the GW12. And I think that's a new one for you. I was going to say, I'm used to checking you in. Here we go. Great. On an EF Johnson. So let me bring the camera up and we'll go back to you for a transmission. Sorry about the delay here. I'm still trying to figure out where it came from. But in the meantime, let's talk about radios. Over.
Check. Yeah, this thing here is just a two-knob transceiver with just a squelch and a volume and a long mic cord. It's 12 volt, built like a battery charger, an old battery charger.
Indeed, Heathkit, at that time, you could probably buy this kit assembled, but in theory it would come to your QTH, to your home in a box with plastic bags, and you were able to put the thing together. So it sounds like whoever put it together did a very nice job, and they kept them simple just for that reason, to get you on the air, to make it, I guess, fun as a building project. And I noticed the one I'm showing has the microphone wired right into the cabinet, so I'm thinking that's how yours is, but people do modify things. The audio is good, the signal is good. I'll do a frequency check, but you fooled me. I thought perhaps you were on the EF Johnson. The Heathkit sounding good. Take us another transmission. Over.
Well, see, that's because I like changes.
And it has channel 11. I think that's only a one-channel radio, meaning, or it's selectable. It's all, of course, it's all 23 channels if you put the proper crystal in. But you're rock bound, and unless you take the case off and switch things around. So good for you for finding one or installing the channel 11 crystal so that we can hear you over.
Yeah, that's what it came with, so I'm sticking to it. So, you know, it's going to be a single channel probably forever.
Well, channel 11 would be a great channel to have. We have a lot of stations out here just for your dining, dancing, and old tube radio talking pleasure, not just on Saturdays, but anytime you might fire it up and find us out there. And the channel 11 was a typical, they call it a call frequency, but a lot of the early radios have channel 14 or channel 11, and then maybe channel 9, but that's, of course, one of the reasons we picked channel 11 to do just that. Take another transmission. I'm going to jump over to the receiver and see where speaking of the crystal, where it's, what frequency it's actually on, but it sounds very good, over.
Good deal, good deal. I'm hoping it's on because it should be just one crystal, 27085.
Well, you are correct. It is one crystal for the transmit, one crystal for the receive. The original frequency would be 27085, but in radios, crystals that are old, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, they may tend to drift a bit. I can't believe it. And those who were listening in heard me switch from AM to sideband upper to sideband lower, and I did not have to touch the dial at all. The receiver's tuned in exactly to 27085. That crystal is as good, or maybe even better, as the day it was installed in that radio.
Good deal, good deal. That's what I like to hear. All righty, well, I'll hand the reins back over to you and whoever wants to check in their radios.
Very good. And I have a question that you may have answered, but I just want to make sure that I document this. We're talking with Louis, SWL93, on his radio. I don't know how new that is to you, but it's the Heathkit GW12, single channel. One, are you using the stock microphone, original microphone that it came with, meaning it's just wired into the radio? And what was my other question? Oh, two, you said you are running off an external power supply, and can you gather that's something from Heathkit as well, or does it look like a homebrew something else? Over.
No, the power supply is different than what the Heathkit is. The way that it's wired, it's for a cigarette lighter, so I just went out and adapted a cord to plug it into my power supply to check it in.
Okay, I don't have some good information on this radio, but there may have been different models of the kit you could buy. One that would be wired for 117 volts, meaning that it would have a power supply built in. That would be another project part. And then these may have been sold only as what I will call mobile radios, meaning that you would either run them on 6 volts, I'm sure it's old enough for that, or 12 volts DC with your inverter. So that's how you're doing it. Sounds good. Thanks for getting us started off tonight with the Heathkit. We don't get a lot of the Heathkit checking, and they actually made quite a line in the GW series for 11 meters. The HW, the hot water, any of the amateur radio people know that if you've got an HW, you've got an amateur radio. And what's the big one that's the Apache, the Cheyenne, and the DX100? If you got the DX100, it probably will run 11 meters. I have not personally checked in a DX100. We have checked in some of the Cheyennes and Apache, the big Heathkits that have that can go 11 meters. Thanks for that. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. It's 9 o'clock, top of the hour. You know what? I think I'm still having an audio issue. So let me do that. The jingle singers are gathering. Okay, now I can turn on the other studio without the extra noise, and we can say you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. Your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
All right, that's working better. Jingle singers are happy. Well, they're happy because they've got all those homemade goodies shipped in express from Ohio. Corey asked a question. Oh, he read an article, best DX antenna. DX is the key word here, is circularly polarized. Yeah, if you're local, obviously you want to be horizontal to horizontal or vertical to vertical, or if you want to attenuate somebody, we've done that before, where somebody's vertical and somebody else is horizontal to attenuate. But when you get to the DX, and those of us who have towers or used to have towers with verticals and horizontals, and I did that back in the day when I had my really big tower with the big stick on top and the big 10-meter beam, and you'd be talking to somebody, and big 20 over signal, and then it goes down to S9, and you're on the big beam pointed their way, and then you flip over to the 11-meter vertical, and all of a sudden the signal is at S9 plus 5. It's better than the beam. Why? Because the antenna is better? No, because the signal has rotated polarity, and now the vertical antenna picking it up not as strong on the peaks as the beam would, but outperforming the beam because of the polarity happening. So circularly polarized is a way to go. Also, think about it. Your auto radio, you're in your car. Most of the broadcast FM radio stations are circularly polarized because they're beaconing down line of sight. But if you're in your car, you've got that vertical antenna. Maybe you've got an older car, like my old Buick, that has the wire in the window. The antenna's in the front window glass, and it's horizontal and vertical. Maybe you are listening in on a dipole that you made on the inside, on your inside stereo, and it's horizontally polarized. So the FM broadcast stations are circularly polarized just for that reason, because it's line of sight, and they don't want to favor your rod antenna or the horizontal antenna, so they go circularly polarized. That's why they have those interesting-looking antennas. So some interesting stuff. Thanks, Corey. And I suppose you could do a 40-meter vertical and phase it with your 40-meter dipole? I don't know. Then you'd have to phase it and put them out of phase, and it could get complicated. But I bet people do it. Or the big loop. They have the loops. You've seen them. It's a big DRR. Is that what it's called? DDR? The big receiving loop antennas are probably that very thing. All right, let's talk about radios. OTR is listening for radio number 2.
Number 7.
All right, we've got SWL7. Head up into the air chair, Mr. Ed, and we'll get you now. And I believe there was another station. Who was the other station?
45.
SWL 45. Hi, Paul. Jump into the green room. You'll be radio 3 after Ed, and we'll keep it going. I'll try not to talk so much here. Radio number 2 at 9:04 is our time here on the West Coast. Is that 4:04? I don't know if my UTC clock is correct. And it probably is, because we're daylight savings time. So 4:05 UTC is probably correct. Shortwave listener 7. And I will re-mention that you do not have to have any type of SWL number. You do not have to have been on the air for 30-plus years. If you find yourself at the coiled cord or the non-coiled cord, as we saw in our last radio, of the microphonium on a tube radio, please bring it by, break Old Tube Radio Network, and we will get it checked in. First time, 101st time, whatever, because that's why we're here, to talk about and check in as many radios as possible, which we will do now. Hello, Mr. Ed.
And hello, OTR. This time, the Browning Golden Eagle with the stock banana mic.
All right, Browning Golden Eagle, and is that the R68 T68 series?
That would be correct. R68 T68 Golden Eagle.
All right, that is so weird. I'm going to refresh my page. None of my picture images are loading correctly. And I think what I have on that one is, which was produced 1967 to 68, kind of a short run on that before they went to the Mark II and from the 23S9. But everyone I hear of those, they did a really good job. So maybe there was just enough modifications from the Browning Eagle, and they hadn't tried to figure out, no, we can cram some extra things in here to make it the Mark II. That it just was perfect. Sounding good, and we are recording here for your playback pleasure, and I hope SWL20 is listening in on the audio stream. Over to you. Take a transmission.
Yeah, thanks to Harvey, this is an operational radio once more. So, yep, definitely have to give him kudos on that one. Definitely owe him for another Browning. Man, I can't get over it. 2 now.
We'll do the little animated thing where two Brownings in one. Although it works good for breath mints, I don't think they would work that great for giant, expensive radios. I really like that has the classic Eagle ping. It's screaming. That is the screaming Eagle ping. I don't know if it's a dulcet tone or not, but it screams. It sounds good. It gets your attention here, especially on the headphoniums.
Yeah, it definitely does have a bit of a scream to it, but yeah, I definitely like it, and yeah, I can't get over it. It's really a nice looking radio. That's hardly any marks on it at all.
You haven't taken those electric engravers. You haven't taken the engraver to it yet, and like so many of them, that you find and engraved your call sign on it.
Call signs. In fact, I'm not going to engrave anything on them. I'm going to leave them just as they are.
I think that's a good idea. All right, there comes things popping into my screen that I want. I found the shot that I was looking for of the 2-piece radio, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark I, Mark None. Let me bring down the sharpness control to get rid of the flicker there. Now, what you have to look for, there was a matching speaker which we're showing, I'll call it a matching speaker, a speaker, external speaker, that was available at that time. And who has one? I think Phil has one, a case, a surround case that may match the oak or whatever the wood is of the speaker that those 2 units fit into. So something else to look for.
Oh, yeah, definitely something to look for. Well, there's the microphone and the radio, but, yeah, don't have the external speaker yet.
Well, you really, with a radio like that, the speaker is as big, at least the area for the speaker is as big as some of the radios at the time. It's probably the size of just where the speaker part is on the radio, size of a Johnson Viking Messenger. Not sure how much better the external speaker would make that sound. Talking to Mr. Ed from his collection of Brownings. He's checking in from circa 1967, 1968, the Browning Golden Eagle R68, T68. Oh, I have one question. I know Paul is warming up his radio to come in next. There was a Series 1 and a Series 2. The Series 2 has a lighted on-the-air light rather than the spotlight on the Series 1. And it said some receivers had a variable RF gain, others have a 3-position switch for RF gain. So have you determined if you've got a Series 1 or Series 2 over?
Well, I do have the 3-position switch, so, now, what series did you say that was?
Okay, the Browning Golden Eagle Series 2 transmitter has the lighted on-the-air light rather than the spotlight on the Series 1, so it actually has an on-the-air light somewhere. And some receivers have a variable RF gain and others have a 3-position. So I'm going to say if you've got the 3-position, it is maybe an early Series 2.
There you go, but I do not have a spot light or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it just has the spot switch, but it just makes the beep on the radio, and it just has the light for the key up for when you're transmitting.
All right, that sounds like a Series 2 transmitter then. It's an on-the-air type of light. I'm looking at the receiver, the transmitter. Where is the on-the-air light? Is it down? No, that's the microphone. No, that's not the microphone. Where's the on-the-air light on the transmitter?
The transmitter is just a little tiny light there. In fact, I don't really see it on that one you have there. Yeah, in fact, that one has a little knob there up above. Oh, yeah, that's it. There you go. You got your little finger right on it. There's the little light.
Okay, that's the only one I can tell from that picture. And then they've got this giant real estate front of the radio, and you've got you've got that channel selector just kind of cut out there. I guess you can tell what channel you're on, right?
Oh yeah, the cutout on that's not. Plus it's lit real well too, so they show up real nice.
Absolutely. All right, and that one hasn't had the modification for the LED. The general, the Browning Golden Eagle. That's a faux pas I don't want to get into. Calling a Browning a general and a general a Browning, that can get you a lot of demerits from the various fan clubs. The Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 Series 2, new to the Radio Shack of Mr. Ed. Radio number 2. Give us another transmission, and thanks for bringing it by.
Oh, no problem. With that, we'll take a listen for a moment and bring in another radio.
Sounds good. This is the Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California. 27085 Channel 11 is our frequency. We're also streaming live at oldtuberadio.net and doing the Google YouTube video thing as well. Don't add pictures to radio. Just messes things up. Radio number 3. I see Paul jumping up into the air chair here at 913. SWL 45, and I'm curious to see what you have connected to the coax switch. Hello, 45, over.
Hello, Dennis. I'm talking on my Palomar Skipper 71B, 71 Bravo.
Very nice. Let me fire up the Palomar, and we don't get many of those. There's sort of a fan club for the Palomars. I'm looking. The one request for a radio that we have tonight from our shortwave listeners, the one request I see so far is for a Comanche 1011D. We have not had any of the Siltronics series check-in for a while, but somebody is wanting to hear a Siltronics 1011D, or maybe any of the Siltronics radios tonight. But right now we have another one that is rare, but is very popular, and that's the Palomar. Let me see if I've got many Palomars from which to choose. And for some reason, OTR net is just running slow tonight. Take a transmission and give me the model number of the Palomar again, over.
Okay, this is the 71B, 71 Bravo. I got my other one a little bit later. My other one's a 73C, I think. My other one we're checking later on if it'll cooperate with me. But you ain't got in there. I know it's in there. It's a fellow in Alaska that had these things, Dennis.
Okay, I have an advertisement that may actually be somewhere in your collection there. Let me switch over to that, and we'll with the Palomar Skipper 71B advertisement. And they actually call it a Skipper. The matching amplifier, or I'll call it business thing, was also called a Skipper. The improved SSB AM transceiver, wow, $389.95, but it had sideband. The sideband radios usually, like the Regency and the Tram, that came in earlier, always commanded a bigger price, extra $75 to $100. I'm looking at the items here. It says specifications of the Skipper 71B with those of any on-the-air market regardless of price, and they give you some numbers and things. Nice looking radio. And the audio sounds great. Take another transmission, and then I'll get us a shot of the... This will be a shot from Tyler's collection, SWL 59, but go ahead with the transmission.
Yeah, Tyler W. in Alaska has this radio. Oh, there you got it. You got the picture of it. Good. Kind of hard to make it out. Of course, that's an amplifier on the top, but that's just radio on the bottom. Anyway, they're a neat radio, and I tell you, this is, I think, the first one. However, I found an advertisement that said that they made 11, not a number on the back or a letter or anything, just 11. Skipper 71, 11, so I don't know. There might have been one out there to start off, but they didn't put the B on it, which I think that is probably for the month of the 71B. That's just your manufacturer. Anyway, I go back to this radio, and I'll tell you what, it's really a nice radio. 13 tubes in the thing, and I'll tell you, it's a 12-inch radio wide, and it is filled full of tubes. Anyway, the center on the thing is the channel selector, and the left is the meter right below that. And then on the left side, they got an A&L control with 3 positions. Each position, one is off, the other 2 positions make it lower and better, all the way down. So you can choose what you want. I tell you, this guy's covered with everything. Then, of course, got AF gain on the bottom of that, RF gain to the right of that on the bottom. Above that RF gain is a mic gain. It's slower falling off. In the middle, below the channel selector, there's lower sideband, AM, and upper sideband. To the right of the clarifier. On another knob on there, of course, right to that is the microphone plug-in. I'll tell you, Dennis, you can tune these things to where you sound the best I've ever heard. These are just unbelievable with all the adjustments you can do on this thing. It was really built well. But back, I get so excited about it. This thing was all on a copper chassis. Beautiful. Hand wire, just perfect. Back to you.
Yeah, just looking at the front, it's almost more in line to like an amateur radio, to like the Yaesu 101 series. And it has a true RF gain control, which I don't understand why more manufacturers did not include an RF gain control. The audio is really crisp and loud. It could easily be mistaken for the Buddy or one of the nice trams, but it sounds great. I'm looking at the tube complement. All 12-volt tubes except for the 6AQ5 power amplifier, and there's a 6GW output. 6GW8. Got the 12AX7 for the mic output. 23 channels, and price just under $400 from Palomar. Really, really good audio. The signal is nice at S9 Plus. If you're listening to the archives, I think you will be happy with the way it sounds. The microphone you've got is working well with it. Probably sounds pretty good on sideband. I wonder what kind of filtering they have. They have it wide, like 3 KC. Maybe that's the other thing on the receiver. They might have a wider AM, and then you switch to sideband, it might be a little less. Anyway, it sounds really good. Obviously, you like the receiver on it. And plus, any radio that makes me sound good, I think, is nice. If you want, I can do... in fact, let's do that. I'm near the receiver, so take a transmission. I'll check the crystal in there.
Yeah, I'll just go out there. This is what microphone is. Stop. Palomar microphone. I got the big P on the bottom of the mic. And I'm going to show you something just for fun. It's got a mic gain on the radio. I'm going to turn this thing up to that talk all the way and see what it does. I'll go all the way thing up. This is the max right there on the thing. Back to where I should be. Back to you.
Wow, I was watching the S meter. I didn't hear much difference. I was also looking to see if there would be more difference on the forward peaks, which I didn't see. So it might not be a true linear on the control. So I did not hear it go up, and I did not hear it go down. Some of the other stations may have heard more of a difference. The frequency check, you're pretty much right on frequency. I didn't have to roll much more than about 50 cycles to zero beat it. So Crystal is working well. You might even try less audio to see if that control is functioning or not.
Yeah, I missed out on that. I'm sorry. About the audio, what?
Yeah, I didn't hear much difference on the audio when you made the change to full mic gain. Try even less mic gain than you've got. Maybe the control's just not quite linear.
Yeah, the mic gain itself, that's control of the microphone, of course. Well, it's going to the microphone. But I was feeling quite a bit of difference on the swing on the thing, on my meters here with that. Of course, we're a little bit 40 miles or so apart, a lot of things change. But I don't know whether it'll increase the modulation or it should. That's what I was thinking. It looks like it does. Back to you.
It probably does, but I'm not hearing that much difference. It's got plenty of audio. I guess I should have had the Orban loud. You know what? I should have had the Orban loudness meter up there when you're making the test. But it sounds okay. The control might not be quite linear, so you might have to run more of a rotation on it to get the full benefit. But I think you've got it just about where you need it, and I did not hear any overmodulation when you brought it all the way up. So Palomar Skipper 71B performing quite nicely for you tonight. Over.
Yeah, but this next radio I check in is older one of this. It's still a Palomar, but I've got the information from the manufacturer, the information of the fellow that actually started these things, and I'll give that to you when if the other radio works. Hope it does, Dennis. Hey, thanks for checking it in.
Sounding good, and a match for the Palomar amplifier, pretty much, with the half stripe and the coloring and everything else. I'm not familiar with how Palomar, because some of them I think had band switches and some of them didn't. So I'm assuming they had to market it as some type of a business band amplifier that wouldn't necessarily go with this radio, or there was a way, maybe it had CAP or something in it. I don't know how they got the amplifier past the FCC, or maybe they just built an amplifier and it looks like the radio, and if you want to put the two together, you can. Radio number 3, the Palomar Skipper 71 Bravo. That's from Paul. I want to add, for those that don't know Paul or are listening in on the internet stream, you can hear how loud his station is. He is 35, 40 miles away up in the foothills. He is not here local in town, so that's how nice and clear that radio is sounding. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. Thanks, Paul, and we'll be listening for radio number 4.
Number 7.
And hello, 7. Hang on 1 while I take the other breaking station that sounded a lot like Brian. Was that SWL 49? Over?
That would be correct. 49er here, laid down a little while ago, and man, I fell asleep, so glad I got back up in time to get out here. So if you could get me checked in there, we would appreciate it, and we're waving both hands to all the stations out there tonight. Hope you guys are all staying nice and cool.
We are trying to, and I guess I'm not the only one. I've been doing that all week, where it's been busy and it's been hot. I think it's the heat. You come in and you lay down to do something. It's just, taking off your shoes, and it's 2 hours later, or you go through one of those 90-minute sleep cycles. That's usually what I do. It's an hour and a half later, because your body said, okay, yeah, you're giving me that opportunity here in the nice big easy chair to take that 90-minute sleep cycle that you missed this morning. We're going to do it. You're sounding great. Boy, that radio sounds very nice. So we've got you checked in on the list. Thanks for waving a hand. Over.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, haven't been able to quite fine-tune this setup yet since it's been put back together. But yeah, the wife and I got back from the Bay Area today, so we were fairly pooped out after those travels. So a little nap was needed. So thanks again, Dennis, and see if we can get a couple tube radios warmed up here. Take care, and thank you kindly.
All right, yeah, back to the heat. I had some pictures of it. Had some people from their station going up to the Bay Area today and seeing the foggy pictures in Gilroy and up there in Berkeley. So, a little bit of a temperature gauge shock when you get into the valley here at 101 or whatever we had today. The Radio Shack has cooled down to 84. It was up to 87, so things are good. All right, let's continue with radios, because this is the Old Tube Radio Network. Radio 4 is beaconing for us now, and that would be Mr. Ed. Go ahead, sir.
another Browning radio, the Mark III SSB with the Golden Eagle microphone.
And really nice, smooth. That has the smooth Browning audio. The ping doesn't quite scream like the Mark, or like the Golden Eagle Mark none does, but it's definitely Browning-esque. Give us a transmission on your Golden Eagle Mark III SSB.
There you go. Yeah, I have it on the short ping mode to save my ears also, because this one has a really long one if I switch it over to it. But the D104 Golden Eagle microphone helps with smoothing it out a bit. Put the banana mic on there, and it hits pretty hard. This one's actually got a little resistor in it to tone it down for this radio.
Which was not an uncommon modification. And there's, I guess you can completely eliminate it by adjusting squelch and doing some other things, but I think you've got it. You've got it just about right for an old tube radio network check-in. This radio making its appearance in probably sometime early in 1972, after the run of the Mark II, probably from 1968 in its various forms, or 1969 to 1971, 72, from your prior radio. The price went from the Mark I, that was around $400, I think, to when this one first hit the shelves at about $650. So they were peeking and tweaking, but keeping things good. I mean, you definitely, when you have the Browning, you definitely get what you pay for.
There you go, although I didn't pay anywhere near that much for this one, but yeah, and I didn't pay much for the microphone either. In fact, a friend of mine found it at a garage sale for $5.
Now that definitely is one of those, find of the century or the decade or maybe the year, and it's still working well. Radio 4 on with us tonight, the old Tube Radio Network, doing what we do best, and that's listening for your classic tube radio, still able to drive around the block. If you've been to the local hamburger stand when the fins and chrome of the classic cars show up on Friday evening, this is the Saturday evening version, where we put the fins and chrome and big knobs and classy tubes in the place, and we have a good time. One more transmission. Thanks for bringing it by. OTR's listening.
And one long ping just for the heck of it. And with that, we'll get out of here and get another radio in.
All right, he flipped the switch. The capacitor does exist. OTR standing by. Waiting for the jingle. It was bottom of the hour here, so I'm waiting for the jingle singers to get back into the microphone area. And when they do, we'll be able to hear from them. OTR standing by. Looking for Radio 5, your comments, questions. Hello, Smarty from New York. We have been waiting for the big iron from the East Coast to stop by and check in tonight, and you are there. Good evening to you, and OTR standing by. There was a transmission, but I did not, if there was audio on it, I did not hear it. Over.
You're sure right. 45.
I hear it that time. Hello, Paul. Can you hear the old Tube Radio net control? Over.
I hear this fine. Not your problem, it's my problem. This is my other power alarm. We're trying to take it in. It seems like it's functioning now. Not near as good as the other one, but it sounds like it looks like it's functioning. Am I back to you?
Oh, yeah, sounding good. It is functioning on the transmit side. If you can hear me, then the receive side is doing as well. Over.
Yeah, well, this thing, it seems like I'm twinning all the time with it. It seems like it's getting better as we run along. It's kind of a fast one-up on the thing. But anyway, this is my other stripper, 73 B. This thing was actually, it was tied in with Swan Electronics. Just a small idea of what I'm going to tell you about here. Back to you.
All right, so make sure I've got it correct. We're back. You have yet another Skipper 71B that sounds every bit as good as the other one. Over.
Oh, even has a ping. Boy, it just started to work a lot better. You never know about these things. Oh, there's back again. Okay, well, this is back and just quit laughing about it. Anyway, this is actually a dedicated group of people led by Herb Johnson, which was the founder of the company. He actually was a ham not operator, but he was a ham technician. Very good. It's with his Swans, and they are quality radio, very nice radio. The same thing is built on a copper chassis, completely hand-wired, and it's just a nice radio. The one thing I don't like about it, they put a squelch in the place of the mic gain. Why? I haven't any idea. And it's starting to work a lot better right now. I'm watching the meter. Okay, back to you.
Interesting. Well, maybe they thought at that time there were a lot of amplified microphones, and it seemed like that's what people were doing, so having a mic gain on the radio is sort of, well, now you can turn that down, turn this up, so they thought, well, if somebody wants to amplification, they'll buy the microphone to do that. We will build the radio to sound good with the stock microphone, like General Radio Telephone does, and if somebody wants to figure out how to do something better, they can. I went back to, on the video, those watching the video are looking at this sort of blurry advertisement, but I scrolled down to the bottom where it says Palomar Instrument Company, north in Parkway Escondido, and that is where Paul is talking about the gentleman near San Diego. That's the southern part of California here, where Swan, and we're getting close. The station that wanted the Siltronics, we're sort of going through the back door here to get there. But the guys down there in San Diego, Swan, Siltronics, and Palomar, all sort of related in some way. In Southern California, you could see Jerry Berman and Sons in San Bernardino, Buddy Sells in Reseda, and Cypress. So here's all the Southern California places that would sell you the Skipper 71B back in the day. Back to you for transmission. This one sounds great. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go up to the S meter and put that on, so you can kind of give a radio check when you listen to this back. But give us another transmission. I think this one sounds every bit as good as the other one, and I'm trying to decide whether I like this better or not in the audio department.
This one here is a Turner mic. It says it's got a Palomar sticker on it. That doesn't mean a whole lot, but it is a Turner mic, ceramic microphone thing. And of course, the other one was a different microphone, so your guess is as good as mine. I got to find what it looks like on some of the, well, you know what, some of the pictures, it looks like it might be a Turner, a white Turner. Anyway, that's enough of that. As long as it's talking, Turner makes a heck of a good mic anyway. It's not amplified, of course. Back to you. 37.
And 37, we've got you after, I think we've got somebody standing by here on the radio, so hang in there. Jump into the green room. We've got some good stuff. I think the best way, I can't make a determination. I think the best way, I'm going to have to do this, and I can bring up, maybe tomorrow or the next day, I'll bring up the audio from the audio archive on the MP3 player, and then I'll cue that to your first Skipper, and then I'll bring up the video on your second Skipper, and then have them where I can play them back to back and do an A-B, and see which one actually, if anyone has an advantage. But for signal-wise and loudness, they're both peaked and tweaked very, very nicely. Over.
Oh, that's great. Listen here, that little ping to it. Are we hear that or not? I don't believe that's stock, but you never know. Okay, with 1973 years, there was 2 years difference between the two. And I tell you what, right now, I didn't like it before, but the 71 right now has a better receive than this one does. So I don't know why, but this one here is getting a little tired anyway. So anyway, thanks for checking in, Dan, very much. Appreciate it. Back to you.
All right, well, thanks for bringing it by. I'm looking at some info here that might explain something. It says plate modulated. That is a plate modulated radio for optimum modulation. Also, It's advanced. I think I saw somewhere they're using Heising modulation. It's just really, it's the text is across the screen here. And Heising plates modulated for optimum modulation on the AM side. So you can tell the ham guys putting these together knew what sounded good and knew the little tricks to do, like from Heising modulation. I think that's definitely what's helping out. And I'll say 73 to Butterbean, who is waving a hand on the video side. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I think that explains it all. Let's go back. Where are we going? We'll take one more transmission if you got it. We'll put on the Orban loudness. See that go up to and get on to the other radio standing by. Paul, thanks for the Palomars tonight. Radio 5, and back to you for one more transmission. Over.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that thing, I like it. I tell you what, thank you for repairing the radio. It's working perfect right now. Thanks, Dennis. We're out.
Yeah, it's got a little chirp like the Buddy bass will do sometime. I know the Buddies will do that. It makes a chirp. You call it a ping, but it's definitely the transmitter receiver thing, but it's classic, and it gives a nice little footprint to the radio, the Palomar Skipper 71B. Let me take a breath and say, who was standing by? This wasn't you, Chris. I think, no, Ed's already checked in. Is that correct, Ed?
Yep, but I have another one after Chris, so yeah, put me in there. Okay,
you will be after Chris. So Ed sends himself to the green room, and Mr. Go-Boy steps up into the air chair with possibly radio number 6. Hello, Chris.
Yes, this is me, SWL 37, Chris here. Anyway, Dennis, I would like to check in my general radio telephone, the Super MC11A. This is the 24 channel of that with the old man in the wheelchair, all the tubes in it and everything. And we're running this here with a non-amplified stock handheld microphone. Over.
All right, I'm pausing because I'm waiting. There we go. Waiting for the picture to show up here. And where was I? On one of the Facebook sites, somebody had posted a General Radio Telephone Super MC11A in somewhat nice condition. I think the price they wanted was way up there. And my guess, it probably doesn't sound as good as the thrift store special. Back to you.
Oh, okay. Well, some of them's got it and some of them don't, but this has got it, and I definitely don't complain about it. You know, it's always got the swing in its thing. If you look at the meter, it should have a little bit of a swing going that way, to the right, not to the left, but to the right. I know that's what it's showing here on the radio, and then up here on the meters. On the mods meter, it's swinging over there, and on the watt meter, it's swinging over that way. So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, I do believe.
I think so. I don't have any info telling me if that's plate modulated or Heising plate modulation, but whatever it is, it's done well, and all with just 9 tubes, the ECLL 800 modulator output tube helping, and probably the 12AX7A and the mic preamp. You can find out more if you've got a Sam's CB22, page 45. And there's 2 transistors thrown in there. I think that's for a 12-volt DC thing. Radio number 6, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. I'm glad you made it back into the radio room to give us a radio check-in. Give us another transmission, and thanks for bringing it by. Over.
You betcha, Dennis. I thought I'd at least get one in. We're in here watching a show on Netflix, so it's a series we've been watching, but it's kind of a habit forming. We've been watching a little bit over a month. We're already in the 6th season of it, so you can imagine we watch quite a bit of it.
Probably. What do they got going over in where the Jingle Singers are? They've got Bose Flicks, and Bozo Control has Bose Flicks going on, so I hope they're not paying much for that premium service. Thanks for the radio. You are sounding good. Over.
Yeah, I do have one. I know you work for TV and everything. For an outside antenna for the television, All right, for, air TV. Which direction exactly should I point mine? Should I point it northeast, northeast, or what? Today I was looking, I cannot get one channel on 24. It's in and out all the time. Since we can't get it because of Netstar and everything. So I got the outside antenna, but my other channels come in fairly decent, except for 24. So which way am I supposed to aim this puppy at? I think I've got it aiming like a north by northeast, something like that right now. I figured since you know where the sending unit's at, you tell me which way.
I will tell you which way. Earlier on, there was sort of a path between northeast and southeast. And the one lone item was channel 26. It was farther down. But now the advent of the digital stations and conglomeration, it's a little bit easy. So the best way to start, and especially for Fresno, where you are in Fresno, is to pick the east-west street, like Bullard or Barstow or Sierra, and point it that way, to east toward the mountains. And then look at all the stations that you would like to get. And if everything's good, you can leave it that way. Otherwise, you can favor it more a little bit north, because that is where about 45 degrees, another 15 degrees between north and south, is where Meadow Lakes is, where just about everybody is. But 24 used to be due east, and 26 used to be southeast. The other critical thing is knowing where the point, so you're doing good there. The other thing is knowing, like any antenna, any Yagi or whatever, is what is the front and what is the back of the antenna. If you've got a Yagi-style antenna with the horizontal elements, the smaller elements are the front of the antenna when you measure them horizontally across. The other thing is to make sure your antenna has UHF and VHF, so it has the big elements and the small elements, or at least in this town, you can get away with UHF only, although there are some VHF stations, channel 7, channel 9, that require the larger items. If you've got the old bow tie antenna that has, it looks like the cookie sheet grill on the back, that should be on the back side of the antenna on the west side, and then the little X's should be on front of that to the east. So I've probably given you way too much information, but I think you're there. If you're pointing east, northeast, you are doing well. If you want to watch channel 26 and it's coming in and out, then you need to move it more east, or even a little bit of south of east over.
All right, now I've got I've got one of those ones that's got a long thing, and it's got one that goes up and one that goes down like in like a 45 or something like that. I've got those all pointing toward the northeast. That's right?
That is correct. Now, it sounds like the old Weingard style, and that's the UHF elements. That's all the stations 14 and above. The longer elements, if you've got them, would be 13 and below. So I think you're good. The only caveat would be if channel 26 KMPH sometimes glitches in or out, then you might rotate it a little bit more in an easterly direction to compensate for that. Otherwise, then I think you've got everything good, and if you were having issues, then it might be the coax or the lead coming in if it's old, and the transformer if it's got a 75 to 300 ohm transformer coming in, etc., etc. But you are pointed correctly over.
Well, it's not that old a coax. I'm using coaxial stuff like you use for cable and stuff like that. Where antenna wire comes down, has the connect up there, screw on down into the house and plugs into my TV. But 24 is the only one I have trouble with.
Oh, that is interesting. And I don't know. I think they're still. I should know this, but I've been out of the TV side too long. They used to be on Bear, which is due east from where you're at. It's due east, which is the same, Bullard, Sierra, that's due east. You should be pointed north of that. You could try going a little bit more east and see if you can favor bringing 24 a little bit. On their digital, 24 is not 24 anymore. They're actually channel 38 or something like that when you go frequency-wise, but they'll show up as channel 24. I'll have to ask. I just had lunch with one of the chief engineer at channel 24 on Thursday, and had I known, I would have said, Gary, where in the heck is your transmitter these days? But I didn't. So the next time I see Gary, I will ask him. But if you can safely move it, you might try a little more east and see if that helps 24. But you don't have to go too far.
All right, Bear Mountain, that's the one like going out there toward Reedley and everything, right?
Right, that's straight out 180.
I know where that one's at. My daughter lives over there in Squaw Valley. All right, I'll try that there. I have to have somebody go up there and turn it, though, but I'm not going up there. It'd be different if I had it on a pole on the ground. I could turn it myself, but maybe I should do that, huh?
Well, again, sounds like you're pointed correctly, so if you can't get to it right away, you should be good. But that would be my suggestion to help Channel 24, to help them out, our NBC affiliate. Also, you know what? 47, but see, 47 is still up at the hill. So I don't know if they moved. I'll ask Gary. I don't know. I'll ask somebody. Because they changed. 24 and 47 are now in the same studio building down on McKinley. But their transmitters are probably still where they're at. We'll talk more about television stuff later. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Standing by, thanks, Chris, for the general radio telephone, radio number 6. Standing by at Radio 7 is, I believe, Mr. Ed, SWL7. Hello, sir. Over.
Yes, number 7. This time with the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223.
Oh, that was an interesting transmission. There was a little bit of a, I'll call it an AC note, which I don't recall in previous episodes. So let me, so I don't mess up the audio, let me go ahead and switch now while then we'll go back to you and see, maybe it was just an errant key up. Over.
Okay, well, I'm not really seeing anything on my side, but of course I don't have it on the spectrum scope like I do on the other radio. Anyway, hopefully it's not sounding too bad, and we can check this one in with the little blue LEDs and the Silver Eagle mic.
No, we're good. The signal is good. The audio quality is good. It's a little bit undermodulated, and I'm thinking there might be a connection issue and the audio on the audio of the microphone seems to key up, but there is, if you listen to the archive, you will hear it almost like a 120 cycle hum. So there may be something, a little strand of, the little copper strand that's waving about somewhere.
Okay, well, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I had moving things around and I had unhooking things and doing stuff like that to get all the radios over on the table.
Yeah, in fact, when you were moving around, I heard it go. So something, the connection is almost there. The audio is good. The carrier stays up all the time, so there's nothing in the keying circuit. And I have heard that radio before, so sounds like there's somebody is a little bit weak. E.F. Johnson Messenger 223, modified perhaps on the external parts with some cool lighting and Buffalo nickel effects. I don't know how else to call it. So the radio that we're showing is representative of the Messenger 223, but not necessarily the one that you'll be hearing on this transmission. Back to you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I got the little Buffalo nickels in place of the little, whatever color, the golden whatever in the middle of the knobs. And had the blue LEDs put in there, not by me, by somebody else. But it still works, so we'll keep checking it in.
Excellent. We'd like to hear that on the Old Tube Radio Network. The words, keep checking them in, because that's why we are here. One last thought. You said you were moving things around. Is there anything that has a transformer near your radio or the microphonium, say like a table lamp or a table fluorescent lamp or a charging power supply for a cell phone or something like that could be generating into the mic cable?
Nope, nothing like that.
Okay, key up again. It was actually much less that time.
Okay, yeah, I was just moving the plug around on the where it connects, so it may be in there.
Okay, I think that's it, because it was less that time, but it's still there barely, so I think that's what it is. But it is way, way below your audio, but it is there, and I don't recall it being that before. Radio 7 from SWL7 at 947, And if you add the numbers 2, 2, and 3, guess what you get? I just looked at that. You get 7. This is the 7 radio, so there must be 7 little strands of copper something in that mic cable that are sticking out. Sounding good.
Oh, there you go. Well, we'll look into that one, and with that, we'll bring by one more radio.
All right, and we are going to bring by the Jingle Singers, all 7 of them, in honor of the last check-in, OTR.
You're listening in the latest style.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Looking for radio number 8. Man, the noise blur is up there, adjusting the RF gain. What happened? Oh, I see what happened. You know what? The audio self-adjusted itself. So my apologies to the SWLs listening in on the audio streams, video streams. Corey, okay, let me do this. Corey's asking the question, am I running a noise gate? And unfortunately I am. Actually, I'm running a pair of them because this is a noisy room. And unfortunately, noise gates are good and they're not so good. Because if your room is noisy, you can hear the noise. Let me do something here. Can I go to the expander on the mic preamp and I take it off? Probably have to be listening in on headphones, but there's the first noise gate out. And you can hear the rattling noise. There's a second noise gate in the Behringer it would even get louder if I took that out. And there's probably a third noise gate somewhat in the Orban. Hello. Yeah, see if I really smash the Orban, it'll noise gate out. So let me turn back on the expander. And you can hear it kind of go away, but the Orban also kind of runs in a... Oops. Losing my foot switch. The Orban also kind of runs in a noise gate mode. So the answer is yes, yes, and maybe yes on the noise gate. Looking for radio number 8.
There we go. Number 7.
And number 7 is there. Hang on one. Was there another station breaking for OTR? Over.
45.
Yeah, hi, Paul. Let me take Paul because his radio is a little weaker. I want to make sure we get through that one. You will be radio 9, and Paul will be radio number 8. Can you hear me? 45 over.
Yeah, if you can hear me, this is not the radio like we were talking about, but making it over to you, so I'll get back to you with it.
Yeah, the audio quality is good. Just the signal is down a couple of dB, or a couple of S units actually, from what I've been hearing in the evening, but I think we can make a go of it. And we've got you online now, so tell us what the microphone is plugged into this time. Over.
Now you want to hear me now?
Yes, SWL 45. Hello, Paul. If you can hear me, take a transmission and tell us about your radio. Over.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is a little bitty radio compared to what I've been talking to. This is my center radio telephone, PS2.
Yes, the vibration surface. I hope we have some pictures of the VS radios, because they're, what do we call them, the loaf of bread? If the E.F. Johnson Viking was the loaf of bread radio, these are a little bit smaller than that, and they're a darker color. So someone called them, I think, the loaf of pumpkin bread or something, or pumpernickel bread. All right, I do have a shot, and one of them is courtesy of you. So let me bring that one up, and I'll switch it over while I'm talking, and hopefully you be able to hear me throw it to you on 2 over.
Okay, well, it's the same plug-in on the thing, except that's the one that's got the slide switches put into it by accident. Or, well, I don't know, John Rinnershow one. I don't think it was on but they sure was a VS2. It's, yeah, okay, I think he can't make up the slide fish hole in the thing. But anyway, it is a tiny old VS2. No slide switch or anything. The same old radio that Jim used to love to talk to. I'd actually like to hear him on this thing. I know it just sounds good, but anyway. That's just a plain old 5-channel radio for a mold, and it's steel, made out of steel, no plastic, nothing. And then it's got some goodies in the thing that not most of the radios don't have on the thing. Built-in shock-proof carbon microphone, shock-proof power supply, all the shock-proof stuff. I don't know where you want to get really much worried about 12 volts, but they got it all there anyway. It's getting a little softer, but it wasn't going to be a trade.
Back to me. You almost sound like Skipland, Paul, because as you took that transmission, and it was a long transmission, that's good, the radio, the signal started to slowly fade into the noise. So I have a feeling that there might be a weak tube going on. So I'll take a transmission, and when you come back, it will probably be rejuvenated. I'm also going to check the frequency and see if I'm off your frequency. Paul is talking on a general radio telephone VS2. I think that meant vibration service, and these were built, you could run them at 115 volt AC, but they were smaller and more portable and less cumbersome to be used, I think, mainly for mobile radio. The Series C9909 has 2 slide switches in the face of the radio that are not hooked to anything. That's what he's talking about. Unknown if that was a factory or a modification that just didn't make it and they put it out. Anyway, these radios came out in 1962 to 1963. I'm surprised that they don't have a 6-volt option, which they might. They sold for about $149. And Paul, if you're hearing me, take a transmission and see if your signal came back up. Over. Yeah, it came back, and also I checked frequency. You're at about 2786 and a half. So I'm going to move my receiver up. It might smooth the audio out a bit, but it's working. This is why we like the Old Tube Radio Network, because it doesn't matter if you've got the biggest and brightest, which basically the Palomar was from his earlier check-ins, or we're working with something that from 1963 is actually doing a quite nice job, and you have to make net control work just a little bit more. That's okay as well. Radio number 8 is working okay, so you can put this one on the list that it's still ticking, even though it may have taken a licking. Over. All right, and I think we are both scoring some points in SWL1 land by 1. Checking in the VS2, and number 2, my efforts to make sure it sounds as good as possible here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for bringing it by, and let's see, before we go, it's almost the top of the 10 o'clock hour, but we're checking in some radios. I'll hang out a little bit late tonight. The Jingle Singers would like to do one more magical number as they the ribbon microphones and tell us about the magic that is OTR.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
All right, let's see if we can't get some radio magic with SWL7 and Radio 9, I believe. Go ahead.
Ah, cool. Radio number 9. Well, this is the Tram TR27 Echo.
The Tram TR27 Echo. I was featuring, what was it? I think I was featuring the C model earlier today, so let me flip over to the picture that I know I do have of the TR27E, and I believe it is indeed in your shaft. And once I get it positioned here, we will go back to you for a transmission. Yes, the big greenish, bluish, whatever thing.
Yeah, the big green machine there. Actually, it's teal. as far as that goes. Anyway, so, yeah, some people get blues, some people green. It's actually teal. And it has the Electro Voice 638 microphone attached, 23-channel transmit receive. I think the other ones were a smaller complement of channels in there. And, of course, I have the winking and blinking modulation light telling me that it must be doing something.
It's doing something, and it's doing it well. Radio that size, I think it should do everything well, and especially giving me a signal report on that giant S meter that is about the size of now a 2-meter amateur radio, a little handheld. The meter they need to do something like that. But those little tiny, Yaesu FT857s. Well, they do that. LDG makes a meter, but you have to connect it to the radio. There's no room. Here's a radio where you put the meter that size on the radio, and you still got plenty of radio. Tram TR27E. What is the circa on this one? I think it's 1963 when it came out for Tram, top of the line in the last of their TR27 series. I'm not sure what was the next one after this. It may have been the Titan, like the Titan and the Titan 2A. And Pydor88 is saying he wants to look for D201A, which we haven't had one check in for a while. And many people say who own Trams and Brownings that it's hard to pick a favorite between that D201A or any of the Trams. But back in 1963, this one was a big machine. Looking for the price on it. I don't see a price, but I bet it was up in the upper $200 range. And we have an ad. If you go to oldtuberadio.com and look in the Trams, you'll see the advertisement that tells you how to do some peaking and tweaking. And it doesn't even tell you to be careful. Back to you for a transmission.
Oh, there you go. This one, the meter is definitely large. It's a little over 3 inches tall and 3.5 inches wide. You got a 5x7 speaker there. So, everything's big on this radio. And, it's kind of a monster. But compared to the Brownings 2 pieces, it's not really that big.
Well, I guess apples to oranges, or it's all relative. So when you compare it to a big radio, it's not as big. But you compare it to any radio, it is big. And it's got a big sound. You run it conservatively on the audio. He's got one of the classic Collins-style Electro Voice mics on there. And just let it loaf along. Yeah, he could put the Demco modulator in line in between everything if he wanted to, and kick it up a notch. But for what they call rag-chew conversation, it gets the job done. Tram TR27E, our Radio 9. Take another transmission, and thanks for bringing it by.
Oh, and thank you. It actually does swing up here quite a bit. Let's see, 3 watts swinging to almost 20. So, she puts out a little more than it was supposed to. I think it's been peaked and tweaked.
Yeah, I'm just watching, and you're getting me with 20 over. And when you hit the right sizzling sausage orange furniture, you definitely get another 5 dB forwards movement out of the S meter. The Old Tube Radio Network. Radio's Going in the Dark, California. We've been doing this on Saturday evenings for a long, long time. Way back when this shirt was brand new, back in probably 1985 or 86, the official OTR shirt. Celebrating summer, and it is definitely summer here in the Central Valley of California, back in the day when we had an OTR picnic and an Old Tube Radio toss and a lot of good things. Still going strong thanks to our collectors that hang out with us and spend time and take time away from whatever they're doing to jump in and talk to us on their tube radios. Let me jump out here, see if there's anybody else that would like to check in. Timtron, the mighty Timtron in the Pacific Northwest, is tuning in his Radio Shack in the SWL mode, listening in on oldtuberadio.net. And Tim is one of the few who has not only caught us, but given us a replay of the skip coming in off of his Yaesu radio up there. So I think that'll be happening again, as we've had some Cycle 25 sunspots rotate into view. I didn't see Kevin on tonight. Normally he will give us the sunspot number report, which I probably could do. Let me quickly, while I'm keyed up, or is it keyed down? While I'm quickly keyed here to see what the numbers are. Of course, it's not on my screen. It is SFI 67, sunspots 0. I still can't believe it. Still no sunspots. We've been a long, long time, even though we're having some conditions. OTR standing by, counting and amounting and listening for your radio check-ins.
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
OTR listening. Yeah, Tim, let me explain the shirt for those that came in late. Back in the early days of the Old Tube Radio Network, and this would be the mid-'80s, we had in the summer what we called the OTR Picnic, where we said, hey, everybody who can, come on down to the big park we have, and we'll celebrate tube radios. We'll have some for sale. We'll have an old tube radio toss. We'll have a big, giant barbecue, and we'll have some fun. And one of the net controllers, we had a lot of active net controllers at the time. These shirts were made for the net controllers, and I will not forget my name. So this is a Mervin's shirt with a custom thing from 1985. Still fits kind of well, right? And then if I spin around, and let me do this and see if I can not tear everything apart here. I'll take off the headphones. You get the OTR thing on the back. I don't know if you could see that very well, but so there you go. So these shirts exist also, and when Fred checked in this evening, I'm not a hat guy. Where is it? The OTR hat. I forgot all about that. That's been hanging up somewhere for the last 30 years. This is from an auto cap made in Thailand. Well, there you go. Enjoy, and it's like a fortune cookie. Enjoy this cap. One size fits all. 100% nylon. There's the OTR Old Tube Radio Fresno, California hat. I'm not a hat person. When I put it on, I look even more silly than I do. So we stuck it up on the Hallicrafters CB3A tonight. I've counted and amounted. And what was I going to say? I probably was going to say something intelligent, and then, of course, I opened my mouth. So any other station would like to check in? OTR is standing by.
Hello, I'm 31. Mr. Rude.
Hey, I was just counting page 4, which has a lot of check-ins tonight, and I'm thinking they almost had 20 check-ins, but they didn't. They had 19. Now they do. SWL 131, Mr. Rude, who has been out and about here on the Old Tube Radio Network for quite some time. Let me bring up the big chart, and for those who are watching the Universal Media Netweb, we'll see that 131 has been or is checked in. All right, there. Oops. Sorry about that. It moved on me. I got 191. Let's do that. Take 2. Dennis tries to check in 131. There we go.
All right, I'll tell you. We'll take you next time.
Yeah, and Captain Keyboard says, I don't think Mervyn still existed. Well, in 1985, of course, they were big guns here in Fresno. And there's a Mervyn's tag on this shirt somewhere. I keep moving on. The white shirt is really messing up the white balance tonight. And of course, with the FX Glow side light here, it looks really good. Let me turn off the FX Glow side light. There it is. There's the OTR. Let me move over. The OTR shirt without the FX Glow, and then there it is. All right. So that's why you wear white. Normally on television, you would kind of avoid wearing white. Any other station would like to check in before we end the net tonight? All right, let me take the giant key down and look through the rack gear here to the other studio to see if indeed they're going to help me out. I'm waiting for the orchestra, Mr. Announcer, who will do.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network.
Like the
Ladies
echo.
and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
I like the extra reverb they're putting in their stuff tonight. The current and final OTR totals, we'll start with the SWLs. By the way, we are on week 8 of the 8-week roster. That means I get to make up the new roster list and put all the SWLs that have perfect attendance in the big hopper, whatever it is that we have here, and we will draw a new 00 for next time. 10 check-ins on page 1, 9 on page 2, 12 on page 3, and thanks to Mr. Rude, we now have 20 on page 4 for a total of 51 SWLs. 9 radios tonight. Let me adjust this and hopefully I don't wreck anything. 9 radios checking in tonight with what I think is a 3-way tie between the General Radio Telephones, no surprise there, the Browning Laboratories, no surprise there. And surprise, where's the surprise fanfare? The Palomar Skippers in that list of most heard manufacturers. Starting off with the Heathkit GW12. We could have had Heathkits too. Surprise number 2. Thank you, Louis, for the GW12. It sounds good. Keep it in your collection. Keep it on it's a daily driver top shelf because it sounds good. The next radio was Mr. Ed on his Browning Golden Eagle, the R68 T68. New to the Radio Shack, the Palomar Skipper 71B number 1 from Harvey. Sounding really good. That was Radio 3. Radio 4 was Mr. Ed on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III. Sideband version. Radio number 5, Paul on the Palomar Skipper 71B number 2. Not sure. I'm going to try and do the side-by-side replay and see which one sounded better, if at all. They both had great signals. Running some different microphones, so I'll have to maybe run the headphones and see if I prefer one or the other. But when you have to do it that scientifically, it pretty much tells you that they're both sounding pretty awesome. Radio 6, Chris on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Radio 7, Mr. Ed, SWL7 on the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. Somebody was on one of the sites saying, I found an old 223 and an amplifier, and it's a good radio. If you find grandpa's, your father's, your uncle's Messenger 223, and you can bring it up slowly, and that'd be a great radio to start. That's the one we recommend. Find a Messenger 223. We've got an S-meter, 23 channels. They always work great. The audio sounds good. That's a keeper. If you have a collection of 1, that would be a good thing. Next, we had SWL45 Paul on the General Radio Telephone VS2. Yeah, something's going on. And when you take the long transmission, 2-3 minutes, the signal slowly just fades in. So something's warming up or warming down, if that's such a thing. But it works. Probably 1.5 watts, maybe even 500 milliwatts. And then Radio 9, the Tram TR27E, sounding good here on the old Tube Radio Network. Who is still with us? Always amazed that people stay up late, but I guess it's Saturday evening. We've got Fresno, California, down in Redondo Beach, Southern California, Chesapeake Bay, Maryland still in. It's Sunday. Delaware still in. It's Sunday. Hello, South Carolina, Tennessee. It might be Sunday there. Sacramento. Waiting for the E-skip, right? Waiting for the real short skip. Maybe the back scatter. Hello, Spokane. Sorry, no E-skip tonight, I think. Maybe I'll leave the audio up and we'll do the beacon thing again tonight, but I doubt we're going to hear anything. Manteca. Can we hear Manteca? No. You're probably out of Manteca should be able to hear the beacons at 28,300. They're right over your head. You probably hear them loud. And Oceanside. I haven't heard Oceanside is up there for a while, so there you go. That's it. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com products for keeping the Nixie tube running, or Nixie tubes. Thanks to all of you for keeping us running. And thanks to me. I'm going to thank me for finding the shirt and still being able to fit into it after 30 years. No tailoring was necessary. Good night, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network signing off, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Dennis.
Good night to all the SWLs, and thanks to Bozo Control.
And Sunday in Iowa, too. All right. We're not going to keep the transmitter because I'm going to move it. But, man, I sure hate the green video. Sorry for the green video tonight. What are we going to do? We're going to open up the RF gain, and we're going to go up to 10 meters. And we're going to see if the beacon... Oh, it's weak. There is... For you guys in California, Sacramento, Manteca... If you're SWLing, that's 28,299. Wow. Let me put on the DSP. You barely hear that. But that's not doing too good tonight. That is K6FRC out in Tracy, I think. Or near Tracy. And we're hearing that in Fresno on a ground wave. Just barely tonight, so... Stations in California might hear that. If you're not in California, and that would be a good beacon to listen to, 28,299, because that's the Central Valley of California. That would let you know that the band is opening in this area generally. So let's see if there's anybody else, any of the standard guys on 76. It's the one that comes in there. Birdie. There's the British Columbia station down at 197. Yeah. Not good tonight. It's good this morning. Nope. All right. And then what'll I do? Oh, I know. Let's head over to... Let's get rid of me, the orb band. Let's head over to 75 meters. Oh, you know what? I was on the wrong doggone antenna. There we go. Now we got some noise. Let me try. Nah, it's still weak. All right. Oh boy. No AM. No AM stations that I can hear on 3870. And every amateur radio area has their one, it's like the CB channel. And ours at night is 3840, and it sounds like it's hopping tonight.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Talk to you later.
There you go.
6 Bingo Radio Uniform.
They're playing music, they're jamming. This is the what not to do. All right, no AM, no beacons. It's a good night for getting the dipole and calling CQ because you know somebody's out there. Catch you later, everybody. The old Tube Radio Network signing clear. Yeah. W6WBJ, the world's biggest generator. And then his call was at N6AYJ before that. And if you look at lid in the dictionary, yes, you would see the crazy, and he always puts up crazed pictures of himself. You see the crazed picture of Billy Crowell. All right, Tim, I'm still way behind on getting any antennas hooked up for this band, but at some point, at least it's here in a box. And X4000 is in as well. I can see what we'll have to do once I get the station running here. We'll have to do OTR after hours. Good night, everybody. I'm going to stop the stream and save some bandwidth. The old Tube Radio Network.